This video is brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world. They are also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage with microgrid solutions. Hello, good evening, and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and welcome to the new Tesla Model 3 refresh. We are going to see how good of a road tripper this car is. I've already taken you on a full tour of this car. We've then driven it for the first time. We've done Nürburgring laps with the refresh. And actually now this is the first time I'm featuring the dual motor long range all-wheel drive option here on the channel. So really looking forward to trying out. This is, I think, the first time I've tested the new LG battery pack in here, I think. Anyway, we have a lot to figure out with this car. And oh, one other thing we've done the Highland, I've done a full tour of the new Model 3 Performance, which I'm really looking forward to trying. This car was loaned to us by a viewer here in Colorado, Andy. Shout out to Andy. Leave some love in the comments for Andy for letting us get some Highland content. This is the first of a few videos we'll be making, and he's a local viewer, so we'll be able to have access to Andy's Model 3 refresh when we need to use it for comparisons or testing. For example, I can't wait to run this car against the 18-inch Aero wheels in a range test side by side. That's going to be freaking epic. But for now, let's go see how good of a road tripper this is in the 10% challenge. I'm going to walk you through the testing procedures, everything I've done to get the car set up. We're then going to go charge it from 10% for 15 minutes and see how far we go at 80 miles an hour. Should be kind of fun. And here it is, the new Tesla Model 3 Highland. It is these are actually starting to become pretty popular. In Europe, of course, we've seen them everywhere. And now in LA, they're actually, I just got back from California, they're almost on every corner out there. So this is a long-range, all-wheel drive Model 3. It's one of the first refresh cars delivered in Colorado. It's actually been broken in already. It has just under 2,000 miles on it, so it's fresh, but everything is good. The only thing not maximizing the performance of this car for this test would be the 19-inch, I believe they're called the Nova wheels on Continental OE tires. And yeah, actually, let's take a look at some tire stuff while we're into it. So 235/40 19s, and they're Continental Pro Contact AC7. Okay. And then back here, is it the same? Is it a square setup or are they staggered? So there were 235s up front, right? What are these things back here? Does it say? Gosh, Pro Contact AX? Huh. Yeah, it doesn't. It does say somewhere. I'll make sure we get it in there. Yep, 235/40 19s. So they are a square setup. So for the 10% challenge, what matters? Well, we're pretty familiar with the car. I don't need to take you on a tour of all of the changes. This is, again, the dual motor version. I drove it down here, preconditioning it all the way. So we're at 11% state of charge right now. So the battery is warm. It's ready to accept the full 250 kilowatts that the supercharger can give it. And we're basically going to plug in as soon as it dips from 11 down to 10%, run climate control at a normal temperature, simulating a road trip. We want to know how far this thing can go. We're going to charge it for exactly 15 minutes. You guys know the drill. Jump out onto the highway. This is a brand new supercharger, so the highway is just right off over here. We're actually at a Buc-ee's. This is a great location to do the 10% challenges. Really happy this site went in. It's also a Magic Dock site, so I can run Teslas and non-Teslas here. You know, with the built-in CCS adapter. Really loving that. And yeah, so let's wait till it dips to 10%. We'll plug it in. Can't wait to charge it. My first time really charging this thing. I'll take you on a quick tour. Black interior, gray exterior. We got the heat blasting in here right now, draining it from, wow, 34 miles at 11%. I have it navigating here just in case it wanted to precondition a little bit more. What we'll probably do is we'll throw it into service mode. So we're at 1,879 miles on this. Actually, one thing we should do, let's go here. Audio system premium, heat pump, induction front motor, permanent magnet rear motor, as you would expect. So all looks pretty normal here. And interesting, this says enabled, and then it says like how to use third-party charging, but it actually didn't work. That's funny. But let's go here to software, throw it into service, boom, enabled, kick heating on because we want to drain the battery from 11 down to 10. This is the procedure we always do. We'll come here to high voltage charging, and this way we can see how many amps we do. Battery pack is at a perfect temperature. That's where the car wanted it for charging. And yeah, before we get it plugged in, let me just walk everyone through who may not be familiar with our 10% challenges, what we're trying to simulate. So for electric cars, if you're not familiar, essentially there are a couple things that matter when it comes to road tripping. And the first would be the outright range of the vehicle. And we always do 70 mile per hour highway range tests in our EV testing. And I am going to run this car in a range test, but I'm probably going to wait until I have an 18-inch car long range. So if anyone has a new Model 3 Highland on the Aero wheels long range in Colorado, let me know. If one doesn't pop up soon, I'll still just run this car and we'll do that on another day. But I think it'd be fun to do them side by side. So range is one metric. And then we want to charge it from 0 to 100%. That'll be a future video coming on this channel where we drain it and then charge it to full. So that's going to happen. Other than those two things, what matters is the relationship between range and charging, of course. So what we are going to find out in this video is how well this thing charges from 10%, because that's typically where I find most EV drivers getting into charging stations. I like to be at 2%. My mom likes to be at 20%. 10% I think is the industry standard. We're going to charge for 15 minutes because I think it's kind of annoying to sit at a charging station longer than 15 minutes. So we charge for exactly 15 minutes. I'll set a timer. We're going to monitor the charging curve. We're going to keep climate on in the vehicle. There's a keep function so that, you know, simulating a road trip, you would be sitting in your car, whatever. And sometimes this affects some battery thermals. That's all part of the test. And then we're going to jump on the highway, drive 80 miles an hour, go about halfway in one direction, turn around, come halfway down here. And we'll run out or dip from 11 to 10% sometime on the highway. And then we'll log the miles that we drive. And then we can compare that to other vehicles we've tested. Model 3 is one of the best vehicles that we've tested for the price in this test. It's certainly not up there with Lucid or Taycan. Those cars are crazy. Maybe this car will surprise us. I don't know. Conditions are good. Almost no wind, 55 degrees. It's nighttime. We can sit at a constant 80. The roads are empty. So fingers crossed for a big number. I'm loving, by the way, maybe I'll give you a little review throughout the video. I'm loving this car. Tesla nailed the new Model 3 refresh. This is, I called it the best car in the world when I reviewed it. And every time I get in this car, I keep going, yeah, that was a crazy statement, but it's true. If you just need a car to get from A to B every day and not be annoying and be good at kind of everything, this is it. This is just like the ultimate form of mindless transportation. I love it so much. It's so good. And the sound system rips. I'm loving this. So we'll wait for it to dip to 10%, plug it in, and see what happens with charging. I've never charged this battery before, so I'm excited. Well, we have just dipped down to 10% state of charge. So time to plug it in and see what happens here. Let's go. Version 3 handle, nice and cool to the touch. No one's been here. As soon as we plug it in, we'll start the timer. Count the handshake time, of course. So we are going. Timer is ripping. Should be about a 5 or 6 second handshake typically. Yep, 6 seconds on the nose. And what we're going to do in here is, of course, keep climate on now. So we're already instantly right at 100 kilowatts. As soon as plugging in, wow, it is shooting up. I have to go lights back to auto, climate on, keep. We'll go low fan, 72, roll the windows up. And dang, it's ripping 500 amps right off the bat. Okay, but maybe it's chilling for a bit. It should do 250 kilowatts, this battery pack. We should put the lights also while we're here on auto. There we go. Nice. Cool Bronco pulling in, ice in a spot. Love to see it. Unless that's like the Model 3's car and they left it here to charge. I don't know. 218 kilowatts right off the bat. So we're going to charge till, what am I going to say? 15 minutes and 6 seconds on the clock and see what happens. 213 kilowatts, 214 at 13%, but it's dipping. Why are we dipping? 209, it's like, oh, 211, come on, let's go. 210, more. Okay, 202, weird. Well, it's still not bad, just sitting at 200 kilowatts. Maybe it only gets big power down low, or maybe it's got to warm up a tiny bit. I'm not sure. I'll keep an eye on this. I'll see what our peak charging speeds are. But right now it's just sitting at 200 kilowatts, which is, this is fairly disappointing from my side. Model 3s have always just done like 250 kilowatts, and it preconditioned the whole way here. Batteries at 40 degrees Celsius. It's toasty. So it should give us everything we need. And again, there's no station limitation because that car's been here since before I got here. That's an old Model S, not taking much, and those are the only two cars. But we're already dipping under 200 kilowatts. Weird behavior. But maybe that's how this battery charges. Maybe it's not a good charging vehicle. It's still not the end of the world. I'll keep an eye on this. So it's been just a few minutes into the session so far. I want to say we are, let's take a look. If I can get it pulled up, 4 minutes in. Let's see how things are going. Now, the one thing this car has going for it, that's really important here is this is a test to simulate, of course, charging speed, but also vehicle efficiency. So the Model 3 has gotten more efficient in this new generation. And this is actually the first kind of test we're doing with the car. It just happened to work out really nicely. So I'm getting an idea of how it charges. I'm going to do a full charging test after this one from 0 to 100. So we're getting a good baseline as well to figure out if this is accurate or not. But yeah, it must be because we're already tapering at 172 kilowatts at 25%. I can tell you my old Model 3, my, 72 kilowatt hour pack, 74 kilowatt hour pack, something like that. It's now down to like 68 kilowatt hour usable. My old Model 3 Performance charges better than this down low. So this is slightly disappointing for what I was expecting. Pin temperatures are cool. Battery pack is nowhere near the maximum. Usually they let it get up to about 62, 63 degrees Celsius on here. I'll probably run Scan My Tesla for future stuff, but yeah, okay. Interesting. Only 170 kilowatts at 28%. Oh, not great. So a big milestone for me while charging is, of course, at what point does it dip under 200 kilowatts and at what point does it dip under 150 and then 100. These are all good things to know when planning, trips and charging strategies. Battery pack's just getting up there in temperature, but we're hitting 150 kilowatts basically at 34%, 35%, 34, bam, 150 kilowatts. Under 150 by the time we hit 35. There we are. Crazy. Now, it's not the end of the world. It's not terrible, but we haven't even seen 250 kilowatts in this session. Anyway, Keep Climate On is on, which means it's pulling the extra from the supercharger. I assume just like every other Tesla does. So if we were to shut climate off, this number would actually be a few kilowatt lower as to what's going into the battery. This is what's coming into the plug and what you're being billed for. But then the plus 20 kilowatt hours, I believe that's what we've added to the battery pack. Here we are just about to cross over to 50% state of charge, and we're doing just under 110 kilowatts here, which isn't terrible. It actually seems pretty on par with my mom's Model Y. So is this the same battery that's been in the Model Y? Because the curve seems familiar. I thought this was a new battery, but it's so hard to keep track of what Tesla's doing and not doing. You guys let me know in the comments, is this a new battery, the LG one that's in here? Or is it not? Because this car does not qualify for the tax credit. Now that they've rechanged the tax credit, it might start to qualify, but at least at the time of this recording, it doesn't. So I'm confusion. There's just so many different batteries. But you guys will know, someone in the comments will know Tesla battery packs more than me. Have we tested this battery already? Because it doesn't seem any improved from the last charging test I did on a long range Model 3 or Model Y. I can't remember which, but it seems pretty similar where that car would really only get juice at very low state of charge, which is what I'm seeing here. Another thing to note is we're getting pretty close to 15 minutes here, so we need to get ready to unplug. Pretty low voltage pack, still under 400 volts while charging at 53%. I really would have thought Tesla would have put a juicy pack in this car. They went through a redesign, thought they would have done something cool, made it charge like a monster, but we need to charge until 15:06. So here's 6 more seconds, and then we can unplug. Let's get ready. 4, 5, boom. We have charged for exactly 15 minutes as per the testing standards. Not as nice to interface that back into the Magic Dock, actually, than just the normal one. So battery temps are toasty, climate off, so we can get everything reset. We'll exit service mode. We'll go to, climate off. What are we doing? Isn't this how you shut climate off? Yes. Trips. Trip A, reset Boom, we're good there. Okay. Other settings, we're going to go, may as go chill mode, shouldn't make a difference. Charging, well, set it to 100 for the charging test. Autopilot, I'll just use basic autopilot for this. I don't want FSD making lane changes and stuff while testing. Trips are reset. Lights are on auto. I think we're good. Ambient lighting set, doesn't really use much energy, plus you're going to leave that on most of the time. Car on, climate set to 70 degrees on low, and we can even shut off the passenger side, keep it driver only, make sure the rear is off. It is. Let's go into drive, and off we go on the 10% challenge. 54%. So we got from 10 to 54% in 15 minutes, which, oof, that is not class leading. When you think about in terms of battery charging, Ioniq 5 EV6 are doing 10 to 80 in 18 minutes. And Taycan's really not far behind, and that's a bigger battery pack. So, man, I really would love to see, even though this might do well in this test, if Tesla just made this thing charge like a monster, it would do even better. Okay, we got to squeeze out of here so we can hit the road. We're going to go I-25 north, which I went the wrong lane, but we can still make it. Should be okay. Other than the charging thing right now, the Performance has a different battery pack, which I think is the existing Performance battery pack. Maybe that charges better. I don't know. I've been so out of the loop on testing Teslas. Time to get back into it. But I love this car. It is unbelievably quiet. It is unbelievably high quality. It rides so well. It's just, I can't say enough good things about this car. Even with this charging performance, it's acceptable, but it's not class leading. It's not exciting. It's not really great. But, damn. All right, let's get on the highway. And here we go, merging onto the highway. Gentle accelerations, as always, as we make our way up to 80 miles an hour. Don't want to have too much heat loss here. I imagine most of the time we're going to be using that rear permanent magnet motor as the primary axle in this vehicle, and then the front induction motor is there just to help along for high loads. So this is primarily running as a rear-wheel drive vehicle, and then the front wheels will just pull along. I've already GPS tested 80 miles an hour as being, why didn't it lock in? I hit the button, 79, 80. 80 is 80. We're in a little bit of a traffic situation, but it shouldn't be a problem as we make it pass. And we're just gonna sit here at 80 until we get down roughly to, I don't know, 30-ish%, something like that. And maybe even a little bit less, because we're actually gonna be gaining elevation this way, and then we'll turn around and lose it on the way back. It's not 100% flat here, but pretty close, pretty close. So yeah, let's go cruise and do the thing. See you along the way. We are just cruising in the express lane right now on autopilot. Everything is good. Sometimes while filming, I actually have to cover the interior camera so it doesn't yell at me. You can see the infrared coming through, but that's another reason not to use FSD. If you cover the camera in FSD, it puts you in autopilot jail, and I don't want to get Andy's car in autopilot jail. But if you just use normal autopilot, like we're just on enhanced autopilot right now, actually, yeah, it doesn't care if you cover that up. So, hot tip. Anyway, cruising. I have no navigation set. When we get to the halfway point, I'm going to reprogram in the supercharger to initiate battery preconditioning if it wants to. And these are all part of the standard 10% challenge road tripping test. Such an important test to me. The miles that you can travel in this test compared to other vehicles indicate how your long distance trips will go. And there's such a huge spread between vehicles, all the way from 40 miles of driving after 15 minutes all the way up to 140 miles of driving after 15 minutes. So I don't know where this car is going to fall. I think we tested Model 3 LFP of the previous generation, maybe not even the old dual motor. We should do that before Colton's car gets turned in off lease. We have a lot of cars we need to test, of course, so we're going to run through a bunch of vehicles and all the tests and upload the data. But all the data can be found on the website, outofspecstudios.com. It's kind of cool interactive graphs in case you don't want to watch the videos and just want to see how far they go. Well, the data's right there for you. We are still just cruising, actually almost to the Wyoming border. We've done this stretch many times. We started just a little bit south of the Come and Go station where we normally start from. We're at 33%, 32% would indicate halfway, but all of you guys know we gain a bit of elevation this way, so we should definitely be more efficient on the return, especially because we're at 349 watt-hour per mile. At 80, it's not bad, but we have gained some elevation. My guess is we'll be much lower than that. Autopilot keeps turning the damn high beams on, auto high beams. There's cars up there, we would be blinding them. So Sexy Buttons does solve that problem, which is nice. And yeah, they actually can do a bunch of other cool things. Not sponsored, but they're awesome. I love Sexy Buttons. And so definitely, if you own a Tesla, get some Sexy Buttons. I'm sure one of the content creators has a discount code somewhere. Anyway, yeah, so we'll probably go down to the next exit, couple percent up. It's a few miles up. And then if we have some extra on the way down, we can either loop around down there or just go past it and log it from 11 to 10. This doesn't have to be as scientific as our range test. This is just giving us a really good impression as to how the vehicles will road trip stop after stop after stop. Perfect. Well, right here at High Plains, taking off cruise 29%, exit 4 in Wyoming. Let's flip around and head the other way. This is nice because there's roundabouts. We can just maintain speed. Gentle decelerations, regenning into the battery pack, all as per usual. A really clean run up here. There was a small, I don't know, 1 or 2 mile construction zone, but honestly, we kind of ripped it through there, so we really didn't come off the speed much at all. And with every run, there's always a little bit of something, but that was really super clean, so I'm pleased with that. Let's hope on the way down it can stay just as clean and we can get a really good result for this car. So let's freaking do it. Heading south on I-25. We have just merged back onto heading south on I-25. We need to put in the supercharger just in case it wants to precondition. That is part of the trip. So it says we'll get there at 8%. That's perfect. Hopefully we run out, or run out. When I say run out, I mean dip from 11 to 10 just before there. So it looks like we chose a great turnaround point. And it has not started battery preconditioning, but maybe as we get closer, it will. And so that is all simulating a road trip situation. So yeah, catch you all down that way. This car, now it feels like we have a little bit of headwind right now, but we're losing elevation. But wow, it's quiet, it rides great. I can't say enough good things about this car. Charging performance was not good. That was my first charge on this thing, and oof, new Teslas are just not charging well. They really need to start benchmarking the competition and taking charging seriously, in my opinion. Even though they might be adding a lot of miles per minute, they should be adding more miles per minute if they can really get their cars to charge fast. So yeah, fingers crossed Tesla makes charging a priority with the next generation of whatever batteries they choose to throw in these things. Well, it's back now, but autopilot just crashed out for a second. It was just like aborted for system error, but now we're back in. So let's see what it says here. Preconditioning, we're 6 miles away. We are at 11% state of charge. Will it go 100 miles in the challenge? I think it must. We did Model Y long range, did 100 miles, but it was a bit warmer day. This one also, that was on arrows, I think. No, that was not on arrows. Anyway, maybe it charged better? Interesting. Maybe this battery doesn't charge as well as the long range Y. But still, 100 miles is like the excellent category for the 10% challenge. That means it is going to be a wonderful road tripping experience. Even though I'm nitpicking and I'm like, I want Tesla to push the limits and make it charge like a machine. Still, it's an excellent road tripper with the result here. 98 miles, 11% remaining. I'll let you know when we dip down to 10% and what the final score is. Should be any moment now. There we go, 10%, 100 miles. So it actually did a little bit better than the Model Y, and we were preconditioning quite a bit. But man, I would have expected a little bit higher result for the newest generation Model 3, but still, even this car is in the excellent category. 100 miles means fantastic road tripping ability. Let's head back to the charger and we'll end with our final thoughts. Guys, it's time to take a look at the data. And I haven't inputted the data for this particular car here, but I can show you where it falls against some of the competition and actually against lesser versions of the Model 3 doing better. It's kind of a weird result. I had mixed feelings about that charging session, as in I did not like the charging session. So I went back and made sure that it was a representative charging session, and I had nearly the identical, even slightly worse charging performance on the next go around. So I was like, well, that's how this thing charges. I tried a completely different version 3 cabinet. The station was completely empty. That's just how this battery charges. And I'm thinking that's not very good. I don't know how this is a brand new car that does not hold 250 kilowatts. At least I haven't seen it above 10% yet. So that's pretty poor performance. And that reflects in our 10% challenge. Keep in mind, we're on the 19-inch wheels. It was nighttime and a little bit chillier. But if we look at this 106 mile number, this is the Model 3 rear wheel drive LFP, not even the refresh. This is the 2023 car. And it was on Aero wheels, of course, but that did better than the new refresh long range, which is crazy. Now, of course, conditions, which is why we put them there, they do affect it, but this had much lower peak charging speeds, but much higher efficiency. And that's where the 10% challenge comes in. It's how much range can you add in while charging. It's not all about charging performance, except some of it is, because if this car charged better, it would have done better. All Teslas kind of end up around this 100-mile range. You can see Model Y rear wheel drive 2024. I don't know if we tested this one or if that's Brandon's car or what that number came from. We should leave a link to the videos if we have them in this data. I'll see if we can do that so we can see which tests these came from. Then we have the Model 3 rear-wheel drive, Model Y long range. This did a little bit better. That's the one that I initially tested. That was the first ever 10% challenge that we did. Wow, better than EV9. That's good, but EV9 is very thirsty. Better than the i5. Yeah, that car did not perform well in the 10% challenge. I don't know if that video has gone up yet. And of course, you have a spread of BZ4X to Lucid Air, just absolutely smashing it right up there with the old Taycan. Can't wait to test the new Taycan. And, Model X Plaid. I should run the S Plaid. There's a lot of cars we need to test here. But I would say 100 miles is acceptable. That's where we get into the excellent category. It's definitely up there. But how could the old rear-wheel drive do better? I'm certainly going to update the numbers if I notice something improve with charging or if there's a software update or something. Of course, the 19-inch wheels are going to take some. It probably would have beat the rear-wheel drive LFP if we had the 18-inch Aero wheels on this car, but not by much. So at least right now, after doing all the charging and testing last night, I'm pretty disappointed with the charging performance of the new battery pack in this car. I hope the performance charges like my performance or even better and rips 250 kilowatts deeper into the pack or even more. I mean, it's 2024. Let's see some big boy charging speeds here. We have 10 to 80% in 18 minutes from Hyundai Kia Genesis Polestar. It's still a prototype, of course, is doing 10 to 80 in 10 minutes, but that's a series production intent project. We're just not even close to that. So I really hope Tesla takes charging seriously into 2025 and beyond. There you go, the 10% challenge of the Model 3 Highland. Aside from this actually not performing that well, I would say. I mean, it performs great, but it's not, we're expecting best car in the world, amazing, all this stuff. I thought it would do better. The car is incredible. It looks great, drives great, very high quality suspension. Sound system's pretty good. I mean, I love the car. And so it's still sort of the default choice, but maybe even just get the rear wheel drive, because at least here in this test, we'll have to test a new one that did better than the long range, which is crazy. And that's why we run these 10% challenges. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this a new battery or is this a previously used battery? I think it is actually a previously used battery now that I've heard some things from friends, but someone has to be an expert out there. Let me know what the heck we're testing. So in the full reviews and everything, you can help me help our audience understand what the heck is inside this car. I've shot a full charging test that will be coming. I just want to verify a couple little things with that. I always like to run 2 identical tests to show that the numbers are correct, and a lot more Model 3 Highland content to come. I shouldn't call it a Highland. Model 3 refresh, upgraded Model 3. I don't know. Awesome car. Love it. I really enjoy driving this car, but it needs to charge better. Thanks for watching. See you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.